Anni Bондаренко is the head of the Ukrainian volunteer service, and she joined us now from Odessa. Thanks so much for being here with us. So just first, before we talk about the volunteers, give us a sense of life in Odessa right now. How far or close to normal are things at the moment?
Well, hi, Kim, and thank you for hosting me here today. Well, it's really weird to talk about Odessa because on the one hand, it's a bit safer than in different parts, of the south of Ukraine. On the other hand, every day we have air alarms, we have missile attacks every week. So on the one hand, we do feel a bit safer, but on the other hand, we still feel this pressure, and the need to always hide and look for some shelters when you hear the air alarm in the morning or in the night.
Yeah, it must be just incredibly stressful. Now, you're among the so-called volonteryi, the army of volunteers who are helping both civilians and the military there in Ukraine. The organization you run, your volunteers, I mean, they seem to do just about everything. So explain how it works and some of the things they do.
Well, the idea of Ukrainian volunteer service is actually to unite people, different kinds of people, different age, different professions, around the idea of helping on local level their neighbors and people in need. So basically, during the first hours of the full-scale invasion, we've been mobilizing volunteers, and we've been able to mobilize more than 100,000 people to help people in need. So volunteers do a lot of things. So they help people with some food packages, with some medicine. We have drivers who are traveling, all around the country and who are traveling inside the occupied territories in order to bring some food and some medicine. We have teenagers who are volunteering online, writing some articles about where to get the humanitarian assistance, how to get some additional funding for families who don't have any money, and all this kinds of stuff. So basically, most of Ukrainians are volunteering right now, doing something to kind of support people in their communities. And our goal is to coordinate those people and match the people in need with the people who are going to help them, who want to help them.
And sometimes these volunteers, I mean, they take incredible risks to help others. I mean, how dangerous can it be?
Well, of course they do, and that is something that is really important to understand about Ukraine, is that it's not easy to be a volunteer or a civil society activist here right now. So we are working with a lot of volunteers who are working on the frontier lines, the ones who are working in the occupied territories of the south and eastern parts of the country, and it's extremely dangerous not just to be a civil society activist, but just to be a volunteer, just to be a person then that buys groceries and just distributes it to people, to some elderly woman who cannot buy groceries for herself. And unfortunately, right now, we have some of our volunteers who are being kidnapped by Russians. We have some volunteers whom we don't have any contact with, but still people understand that there's some risks, and we are taking measures to kind of lower and mitigate those risks. But people say that, okay, we do know that we can get kidnapped, we can get tortured, but we just cannot let those people, die from hunger. So we just need to be there. We just need to help.
Yeah, just unbelievable to hear how far people are willing to go to help their fellow Ukrainians. Now, you spent some time here in the U.S., and I know you got a very good sense of how volunteer groups here operate. So what did you take away from your experience here that's sort of helping you there?
So for me, volunteering in the United States was the first experience of volunteering in my life. And I was 15, I spoke really bad English, and I really was afraid of almost everything in my life. So for me, volunteering at that moment became a way to integrate in the community, and exchange all those ideas that I had about living in Ukraine, to share this with my friends in California when I was an exchange student. And right now, a lot of things we are doing here in Ukraine, they are inspired by what I saw in America, because this sense of community, this sense of support, this sense of being there for the person you don't know, it's really important. And the other thing that we are seeing right now in Ukraine is that our volunteer movement is really brave. So we see how brave are those 15, 16, 20-year-olds who are volunteering. We have volunteers who are 80 years old, and they are supporting the other people in their communities. So on the one hand, it's really inspired by what we saw in America. On the other hand, we do feel as we have so much to share after the victory of Ukraine.
Yeah, well, let's hope for the safety and security of all of the volunteers that you're working with. It's amazing work that you're doing, and very brave for all the people who are participating, taking all those risks to help their fellow Ukrainians. We'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much, Anna Bонdarенко. Really appreciate you joining us.